Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. You may have heard we had an earthquake about 7 hours ago. Tokyo is fine. It happened about 2 hours south of here by bullet train in a place called Osaka. And Osaka is a very large metropolitan area, second largest in Japan, and they had a 6- on the scale that's measured in Japan. They don't use the magnitudes, so they use what's called a shindo, and it's a scale that measures the amount of shake, and a 6- is really, really strong. So people are bracing for aftershocks there because when you do have these strong earthquakes, buildings are damaged, and there is a lot of risk for structures to fail with the aftershocks. I think 2 people have lost their lives, and there's many injuries. I'm watching on the news now. There's a lot of property damage and some sinkholes, and it just creates a real mess. For those of us who are living in those earthquake zone areas, these are always really scary times. So, all right, everybody, let's get to the stories. The first one I have is a new upload that is found on the FSA website. FSA is the Financial Service Agency of Japan. They are the watchdog that has set all of the standards and regulations to operate as a virtual cryptocurrency exchange here in Japan. So, they have recently denied a couple of applications, and they are really setting some safety standards that are not impossible to get through, but are strict enough that they are trying to ensure the safety. Because, of course, we had the Mt. Gox hack, and we also had the CoinCheck hack where all the NEM was stolen. So the FSA is crypto friendly. Trust me, they are. But they also want to ensure that everybody who is using any of the exchanges in Japan, that they meet the safety standards that they have outlined. So this is something that was prepared by Ripple, and it's really a fantastic document. I want to get right to the point that I think is the best thing to look at, and that is when we look at the Ripple XRP solution, where it provides the liquidity solution. So many have been leaving me messages to address the liquidity issue with Ripple, and as you can see, they claim that this is in a pilot situation, and that the liquidity solution leverage a digital asset XRP for reach to new corridors. Say hi to Momo. She's one of my 4 furry-legged friends here. It enables global reach without pre-funding overseas. So this is where XRP can really help these banks. So today, pre-funding in the destinations for the sending currencies is very expensive. And in this expense is the delay that occurs in the settlement process. The money has to sit and is basically, it's floating, but it's trapped. And up to $5 trillion is trapped in a float that sits in transaction for accounts globally. That's a lot of money. So this is a superb solution to provide no float, liquidity on demand. And this is why I think that Xrapid will be adopted by these financial institutions. And this is a really great thing. So if you are a holder of Ripple and you want to be really up to par on understanding how the Xrapid solution will assist and work, this is a great document to reference. I'll put the link to it in the comment section down below. Secondly, on the same day, they uploaded a new PowerPoint entitled Crypto Finance. And it was prepared by the MIT Media Lab, Joey Ito, and Gary Gensler. And Gary Gensler, the name sounds familiar. You'll see why in a moment. But this particular 20-page PowerPoint has some very fun statistics in it. Look at this, 3,500 initial coin offerings to date. Did you know that figure? I actually didn't know it was that many. And then according to their PowerPoint, over 50% have already failed. 200 crypto exchanges. No doubt this figure is going to triple within this, next 6 to 9 months. So I want to take you down. Here is just some market cap by historical charting, but this is the one I want to show you. Look at this. This is the token sale explosion visualized from January 14th to March 2018. Look at this. I think if we look down at the color code, you can see here the blue represents all the ICOs that took place in Europe, and the green are the ICOs that took place in Asia. And this red, or the orange color here, is representative of North America. This brown color is the Middle East. These two little purple ones are representing Africa. I think the light colored blue is Oceania. Yep, Oceania. And then we've got, wow, look at this. This color represents the Caribbean. Yeah, I just think this is a fun graph for a visual understanding of where the ICO activity has been happening. There's Telegram. They raised 1.7 billion. Look at Petro. Petro raised 5 billion in their initial coin offering. And there's EOS at 2.5 billion. I really am one of those people who just loves stats. Here is one other interesting graph to look at. This one shows the number of ICOs that have been published in the last 5 months. So in February, there were 448 new tokens launched. And then we had 554 in March of 2018, and then came down a little bit at 475 for April, and then it declined even further for May at 355, and then June to date, we've had 115. So this is a very current PowerPoint, and I think that if you want to take a look and have some of these stats visually presented, this is a great one to look at. Here's the BTC volume by currency. This one doesn't surprise me. This is coming from Crypto Compare, which I use all the time. This will show you all of the Bitcoin that's transacted in yen. So you can see how much globally the Bitcoin is being traded in yen. It's on average about 53 to 57%. Although 2 weeks ago on a Saturday, it went all the way to 63%. So yeah, it's another example of Japan just loves its Bitcoin. All right, so I will put this new PowerPoint that's on the FSA website in the comment section so you can reference it yourself. One of the co-authors, if you remember, his name is Gary Gensler. And he is now a senior lecturer at the MIT Sloan School of Management at the MIT Media Labs. Mr. Gensler once was one of the top financial regulators in the Obama administration and will teach a class on blockchain in the fall. So I just want to come down here and show you something because he talks a little bit about Ripple, which I think is interesting. So Mr. Gensler is set to say in a speech at MIT on Monday that the second and third most widely used virtual currencies, Ether and Ripple, have most likely been issued and traded in violation of American securities regulations. There is a strong case for both of them, but particularly Ripple, that they are not compliant. They are non-compliant securities, he said in an interview. He believes Bitcoin, the original virtual currency, can remain exempt from the securities regulations. So, yeah, we don't know yet, but he is one of the most influential voices to weigh in on the series of questions. And the Securities and Exchange Commission agency, he led from 2009 to 2014. So I think he is a voice you need to listen to. And in this article, which is quite long, and I don't want to take you through the whole thing for this video, but I will put the link in the section below and you can reference it yourself. There's just one more point, though, I want to show you here. He says that towards the end of the article, Mr. Gensler, who has no virtual currency investments, said he was not tied to any coins winning the race. Now, could that really be true? I mean, I have to ask him, how can you call yourself an expert and teach at MIT in a class this fall about virtual currency if you've never opened up an exchange account, you've never actually transferred your coins to cold storage, and you've never actually traded before? I mean, you have to be the best expert you can be. I think he needs to experience that part of the space. I mean, you have to participate to call yourself an expert. I just can't imagine somebody who is teaching on this subject has never owned a virtual currency before. That's just crazy to me. Okay. I want to talk about an article that I know that you all are saying, oh, Eddie, we know, this has been all over the news. We already know about it. So Ripple Labs elected to the Fed Steering Committee one of its people. So Ripple is going to have a voice within this steering committee. This is great. So hang on a second with me. Ripple's Labs is honored to have Ryan Zagone, head of the research on the business development team, elected to the Federal Reserve's Faster Payments Task Force Steering Committee. So congratulations to Ryan, and I'm glad that Ripple has a voice in this steering committee. But this is what I want to share with you. This is the actual entire task force roster, and it's quite interesting. You can take a look at all of the people who are participants, and then it does highlight in the blue bold text the people who were elected as head of the steering department. And when you come down here, of course, to the R's and you look for Ripple, you can find Ryan's name here. Yeah. So I just want you to have a peek at the entire task force to see exactly who is behind in terms of organizations, who is behind in forming these rules and regulations. Okay. Oh, I think you've seen the article recently about the 2015 penalty that Ripple had to pay because, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, they worked outside the framework of not providing the correct. They went against the FinCEN's. I can do it here. Go to the number 22. Here's all the signees. Let me just go to this one section here. So if we go down, it explains here that on July 1st, 2013, Ripple Labs incorporated a subsidiary of XRP Fund 2 LLC, now known as XRP2 LLC in South Carolina, was created and engaged in a sale and transfer of the convertible virtual currency XRP to various third parties on a wholesale basis. And XRP sold the XRP currency in exchange for fiat currency in the same way that Ripple Labs had previously done from March through April 2013. In other words, XRP2 replaced Ripple Labs as the seller of XRP. So they weren't brought to prosecution, but they actually had to come up with a settlement, kind of a penalty, and had to make an agreement. So on the understanding specified below, the United States Attorney Office in the Northern District of California will not criminally prosecute Ripple Labs, Inc., a Delaware corporation headquartered in San Francisco, California, and any of its subsidiaries of Ripple Labs collectively. So they basically had to pay a $700,000 fine, and they had to promise that they were committed to enhancing their anti-money laundering program and training and internal controls set forth by the framework that FinCEN is wanting to have everybody in a financial institution or in a money services company adhere to. And so what it was that they did was they had some violations of the Bank Secrecy Act. So they really were excellent in working with the U.S. Department of Justice. So they, I think, came to a good understanding, and I think they continued to keep a good relationship in terms of a working relationship so that they could continue to be active in this space. But if you ever wanted to see the actual settlement agreement itself, I want to put a link to it in the comment section. So that's why I decided to talk about this in general, because I think if you really, if you're going to talk about these kinds of subjects, you need to read exactly from the horse's mouth, not from some media source, but just go straight and get the source yourself, okay? And then you be an expert on the actual settlement and the agreement. All right, now there is an interesting story out there. It's about let me show you a picture that I created for you. It's about a village by the name of Nishi Awakura in Japan that has about 1,500 residents, and they want to launch their own ICO. And you ask yourself, well, why do they want to do that? Well, back in 2017, they were asked to join in a neighboring prefecture because these populations are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and Mimasaka City asked them to join them, and they said, no, we really want to stay independent. But, economically, it's really tough for them to remain independent. But somebody who is very forward thinking, and you can see here, this is where Tokyo is, and this is where Okayama Prefecture is, and the village sits just in the southwest part of Japan. They decided they wanted to pursue this ICO. They're going to work with the FSA because they need to establish some regulatory framework because nobody's done this before. And they're going to use Ethereum, and they're going to build the ICO on Ethereum. And everybody who buys a coin will have voting rights. And these voting rights will be for ventures and business community and business development in their town. It'll be a token, be one of the first token economies in Japan. So I'm really happy. Just a couple of days ago, they decided that they are going to create their white paper. So I'm so happy to see that they are moving forward. Now, This Nishi Awa Kura. Nishi is west. Awa is millet. Millet is the grain that's used like flour. And then Kura. So this was the west place to store millet. Kura is warehouse or storage. And I just want to show you what a kura looks like, because they are really beautiful examples of Japanese architecture. This is a kura in Okayama. And region by region by region, kuras will look a little bit different. This is a kura in Tokyo. So you see lots of them that look like this. I actually have two in my neighborhood, and I'm in the middle of the city. So they've been standing for hundreds of years. Many of them date back to the Edo period, so 300 and 400 years ago. But I think Japan has been using kura even longer than that. It's used to store valuables. It's not only temperature controlled, but it also is safe from fire. So, you might store your rice, you might store your silk, you might store your sake, you might store, anything that is of value, you would use these kuras as a storage house. Yeah, okay, that was your little fluff story. I have one more story. It's not 100% fluff, but it is a little bit on the Japanese culture side. I don't think, maybe, if you are not in Japan, you probably are not aware of tweet casting. And it's basically an application where you can tweet and live stream simultaneously. So I actually was on it this morning because I could see what was happening live with the earthquake in Osaka by using the platform. And they just announced that they are going to use, or that you can use Bitcoin. So originally it was launched with what's called Monocoin. Monocoin is very popular in Japan, but now you can also use Bitcoin. So I think tweet casting, I'm absolutely sure, was developed here in Japan. And there are some similar applications in the West, but I'm not sure people are really using them. One more that's been recently launched here is called Orden Chippu. Orden means to cheer, and Chippu means to tip. So this is an app that you can use with Twitter and actually tip people with your virtual currency. This app uses Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitch. Now don't get mad at me. I'm not being rude or mean. That's how we call Bitcoin Cash in Japan. That's how the Japanese say it. Ripple, Nem, Dash, Zcash, Mona, BitZeni, XP, Waves, XVO, Pinkcoin, Nuko, KumaCoin. KumaCoin is popular, and Polka. And this is a really good indication. These are the coins that are popular with the young people. The tweet casting application is actually used by mostly people who are 24 and younger, and it is demographically split about 60% by women and 40% men. So yeah, I did find one that's from the West. It's called CoinTip. I mean, to be honest with you, I wasn't familiar with this until I searched for it, but it does allow you to do the same sort of transfer of virtual currency via Twitter. So this is CoinTip. I don't think people are using this. Are people using this? Yeah, I don't know. You can add your Bitcoin and then, basically send and receive coins through Twitter. Yeah, all you need is just a Twitter account. So I think it's fantastic, but I don't think it's quite caught on in the West. If I'm wrong, just tell me in the comment section. All right, everybody. I think that's all I have for you. Let's wish everybody safety down in Osaka. And that's all for now. Sayonara. Please take care. Bye bye.